When I first saw the fan dialogue calling Kendrick Lamar a hypocrite for collaborating with Playboy Carti, the first thing I thought was it's a nothing burger. This is just probably Drake stands or a hive of people who are really dumb, just giving opinions that are unwarranted. I didn't really think nothing of it. I actually skipped past it because I thought certainly nobody with a brain would even engage. But I began to get increasingly concerned once I seen the dialogue extend beyond fan babble to now YouTubers and content creators were taking that dialogue and actually using it as a point of reference or using it as some type of gotcha in their videos. But YouTubers are dumb, right? Most content creators are stupid. So that really wasn't something I paid too much attention to. But then I began to get really concerned and the game changed for me. And I thought, okay, yeah, this is worth doing a video on. Once I began to see music critics, like music journalists, dudes who I actually respect and hold in the high esteem, dudes who have credibility, dudes who have a track record of being genuine and honest and intelligent. When I seen those dudes now start doing videos calling Kendrick Lamar a hypocrite, I thought, okay, I have to make a video on this because even though I have a great deal of respect for Fantano and Top 5 Troy and their music opinion, I have to say that I disagree on this particular subject, and I do believe they're absolutely incorrect. Now, I don't really want to question the motives of where this is coming from, but these dudes are dudes who I considered highly intelligent and high intellectuals. So it's not really like them to reach for the low hanging fruit. I would much rather question their motives than to think these dudes are dumb because anybody who is taking a bite out of this low hanging fruit, I'm questioning your intelligence, bro, because it's so easy to debunk this narrative that Kendrick Lamar is a hypocrite because he raps about conscience and principles and morals and integrity, and he does a rapper with somebody that we believe is a bad person. Like, it's, bro, I can debunk that on a philosophical level, a pragmatic level, an artistic level. So, because it's so easy to debunk, bro, I'm like, all right, bro, like, y'all can't possibly believe this is a gotcha moment, right? Like, we all have a brain here, right? Kendrick Lamar is not a hypocrite. Kendrick Lamar is not inherently contradicting his principles by collaborating with Playboy Carti. Even if Kendrick Lamar do believe that Playboy Carti are people who make the music that he make, like gangsta rap and druggy rap, even if he do believe that that type of music is perpetuating harmful narratives in the culture, he's still not a hypocrite. Yo, his decision to collaborate with Playboy Carti essentially can be defended on a multitude of levels. At this point, just pick one. Because essentially what we're talking about here, Brett, is like the tension between ideals and real life complexity. We're going to address Fantano and my guy Top 5 Choice separately because even though they do have the same conclusion, which is Kendrick Lamar is a hypocrite, they do have different premises that leads up to that particular conclusion. So we do have to address it separately. Fantano believes that Kendrick Lamar is a hypocrite because Kendrick Lamar went on a campaign to get Drake out the culture and says that Drake needs to die for certain behavior and characteristics that he believes that Playboy Carti probably shares with Drake. And with Fantano, he believes that Kendrick Lamar is a hypocrite for the broader picture that was discussed in Watch the Party Die. So let's just address Fantano first, and then we'll get to Top 5 Choi.
First off, before I get into the music on these tracks, let's talk about the greater context going on here. Because with these two songs, we're not just simply talking about a couple of hype crossovers, some unexpected features from artists that have very respectively different styles. No, we're talking about Kendrick goddamn Lamar, a guy who is deep in the midst of a very big victory lap at this point in his career off of the giant W that he took in his beef with Drake last year. And between all the tracks Kendrick launched in the midst of that beef, be it Euphoria or Meet the Grams or Not Like Us, there were some really consistent themes coming up again and again and again around morality, around being a creep and accusations and guilt by association, around Drake being accused of, all the stuff that he is citing in his recent UMG lawsuit. All of this stuff we have covered in detail on the channel multiple times. You should be well aware, which is why I don't think it should require much explaining to highlight why it's kind of weird Kendrick Lamar would be doing these two features here with Carti on his new record. And sure, you could make the argument that Kendrick just made Drake out to be a bad guy on those songs, songs and made the accusations that he did because it was a personal thing for him. He just wanted to attack Drake in any way that he could. Drake pushed it to a certain point. He pushed it further. Drake mentioned his wife, so on and so forth. Like, yeah, sure, I get that angle of it, but simultaneously, over the course of this whole thing, Kendrick Lamar also made it very clear that he does have like a personal moral vendetta here. He's made this clear in his recent interview with SZA. He's made this clear in that other post-beef track he came out with. Like, he clearly feels strongly about the guilt by association angle. He clearly believes on some level that there is some kind of like moral rot going on in the music industry, in the world of hip hop at large, and Drake in some way is representative of it.
The context that Fantano is leaving out is the separation between Kendrick Lamar and Kendrick Duckworth. Kendrick Lamar, the rapper, and Kendrick Duckworth, the person. See, Kendrick Lamar is a Compton Pyru, an official blood member from Compton. Playboy Carti also comes from a similar background. He's also a blood. He comes from the inner city. So human connection will always override this BS ideological purity that we're trying to push here. See, Kendrick Lamar and Playboy Carti, they share common ground. Whether that's through their personal struggles from growing up the same, that's through systematic oppression, or through how much value they put in authenticity. You see, even though Playboy Carti and Drake may be accused of similar things or share similar allegations, Kendrick Lamar viewed these two people in a completely different light. Kendrick Lamar views Drake as an invasive species in the culture. He views Drake as a vulture. He believes that Drake is somebody who took on an identity that doesn't belong to him, and he's using that identity to spread harmful narratives and perpetuate it within the culture solely for profit. That's a whole lot different from how he viewed Playboy Carti. He sees Playboy Carti as an authentic product of his environment. So he can see the humanity behind Playboy Carti's art, even though he's critical of it. And because he views Drake and Playboy Carti differently, then the remedies have to be different. On one hand, he believes Drake is a vulture, an invasive species who don't belong. So he aims to eradicate and get Drake out of here. On the other hand, he sees Playboy Carti as simply a product, and he believes there's still humanity that exists within Playboy Carti's art. So his approach to Playboy Carti would be different. It will be to exercise empathy through collaboration. He's not absolving Playboy Carti from the harmful narrative that he perpetuates. All Kendrick Lamar is doing is acknowledging that Playboy Carti isn't irredeemable. He sees a difference between a kid who is just a product rapping because that's all he knows, and somebody from his perspective, not mine, but his perspective, someone who knew better, someone who understood the consequences of the harmful narratives that they're going to perpetuate, but still took on an identity to perpetuate those narratives and impose himself on the culture solely for profit. He believes that one is redeemable and the other is not redeemable. So again, Kendrick Lamar is not a hypocrite. No. Kendrick Lamar is essentially saying, yo, change comes through relationship and not judgments from afar. And we cannot call him a hypocrite for that.
Like, Kendrick has made it clear in his bars repeatedly that he does not mess with people he finds morally reprehensible, and that being so on some level, in his eyes, means he thinks you should like die. I think I and many are just sort of wondering, why does he not share not even the same energy, but even like a modicum of a similar energy for Carti? Because, I mean, honestly, when you look at the man's past and record, he's not exactly a Boy Scout. Like, he has literally been credibly accused of putting hands on a pregnant woman. And furthermore, in regards to the Drake stuff, it's often obviously made light of the fact that, yeah, he got bullied into being a dad by Pusha T, which, sure, if you have a child, you should actually be in that child's life and raising that child actively, which is something that Iggy Azalea routinely says on social media Carti is not doing. Like, she has called that man out multiple times for having little to nothing to do with his son, which obviously I'm not personally involved in that man's life. I don't know if that is currently his status in terms of his dadly obligations.
Fantano do understand that Kendrick Lamar is looking at Drake and Playboy Carti with two different lenses, right? Like, he believes that Drake is an pedophile. He believes that Drake should be in prison for liking young women. He believes that Drake is a predator. He believes that Drake should be on the registry. That's a whole lot different than, let's just say we go with you. He knows and believes within his heart that Playboy Carti is a deadbeat father, even though Playboy Carti has said that's not true. There's a huge gap, right, between a deadbeat father and an pedophile, a predator. And yes, we should all treat people who we think are ediphiles a whole lot different than folks who we think are deadbeat fathers. And and that's separate from the stance of Playboy Carti is a mentee to Kendrick Lamar. Playboy Carti is somebody who has known Kendrick Lamar for almost a decade now, who has came and been at Kendrick Lamar's grandmama house, who have stayed in Compton with Kendrick's family, right? So yes, this kid who let's say has been accused of being a deadbeat father, who I've damn near raised in this industry, yeah, I'm gonna treat him a little differently than somebody who I think is an edophile. You're not a hypocrite, bro. You just have a brain. Now let's transition away from Drake because I do think Top Five Troy do have a more nuanced take because he does address the broader issue that's away from Drake, but the broader issue that was addressed in Watch the Party Die and all the issues that Kendrick Lamar talked about in terms of rap and the rappers who are perpetuating harmful narratives in the culture. And I do believe a bunch of other people share this broad narrative in regards to Kendrick Lamar being a hypocrite. So we have to take a look at this video. So let's touch on it.
He says, maybe Watch the Party Die didn't resonate that strongly with the rest of his fans, but I was really feeling that message. And I was too. You guys go watch my Watch the Party Die reaction. I was like, yo, I love this time. And he talking what I'm talking. He talking my feelings right now. This is what I like. This is what I want to hear. So Frosted Takes felt the same way. He said, I'm saying, if Kendrick is supposed to be the leader of this movement, he got to take a stance and stand on business. Can't be half-stepping, but wants us to do the most. So this is what he's talking about. On the Playboy Carti song, Good Critic, Playboy Carti goes and he says, I'm an alien off that Molly. I see stars, I see space. Right? So he's talking about doing Molly, which is like pills and probably other things in that verse. I didn't listen to his verse. I didn't listen to Carti's verse. But then on Watch the Party Die, Kendrick Lamar says, yo, let's kill the followers that follow up on popping Molly's from the obvious degenerates that's failing to acknowledge the hope we try to spread. So when I heard Watch the Party, I don't know if y'all like even listen to that song or if maybe you're just listening to the beat, but I think most of us were listening to the lyrics and to the message. What I got from this, and this is not super deep, he's basically saying it very directly, is there are degenerates who are leading our people, who are leading the hip hop culture. The culture, there's degenerates, and they do X, Y, Z. One of the things that Kendrick mentioned was killers. Like that, we have people who kill innocent people, who talk about killing innocent people. In the song, Kendrick says we need to eradicate these people. No metaphor. He says violence is necessary. He's not talking about I need to lyrically dispose of these people on wax on the song. No, he says violence is necessary. We need to get rid of them, like kill them. Then here he says the same thing. Molly, the degenerates, we need to kill them. So to say this and then to go, a couple months later and you get a Playboy Carti who is, we're not gonna say nothing. This ain't to disparage anybody. This video's not to disparage anybody. But then you give this stimulus package to an artist like Playboy Carti, who is like opposite of he's what you're talking about right here. And on Watch the Party Die, Kendrick also talks about yo, scammers. We need to get them out of here too.
I think it's obvious what Kendrick Lamar is doing, and reducing it to hypocrisy is insulting. Kendrick Lamar was being honest on Watch the Party Die. He truly believes that people like the scammers, the street dudes, the vultures, they're bad for the culture and they need to go. However, there's different approaches on how to tackle that, on how to purify the culture. You could take the Poetic Flacco approach or the Charles the White approach, which is create isolation. Say these dudes are bad and point your finger and wag it up and down and talk about how these dudes are the horrible, the most disgusting dudes ever. Or you can look at it from the Kendrick Lamar perspective, which is kind of like a utilitarian aspect of it, which is essentially using collaboration to maximize the positive impact and hoping that usually outweighs the purity of isolation. By collaborating, you get an opportunity to either subtly or overtly instill your consciousness into a genre of music that will usually reject what you're doing. You get to reach an entire new audience who probably never heard your message before. So he's not co-signing Playboy Carti or being a hypocrite. He's just leveraging the audience that Playboy Carti got to push the message that he's rapping about and Watch the Party Die. It's like the Trojan Horse theory, bruh. Yo, all you're doing, bro, is using Playboy Carti music, bruh, to as a vessel to smuggle in the message to that audience, bruh. That's all you're doing. He's not being a hypocrite. The message still stands. He believes that the harmful narrative that's being perpetuated within the culture needs to be eradicated and needs to go. But obviously, you can't kill people, bro. So you have to kill the message. And if that comes from coming on the album and subtly or overtly pushing and instilling consciousness, right? Instilling a positive message within a genre that usually don't exist within a genre, then he did his job and he's not being a hypocrite. His verse on Good Credit is literally a subtle message where he's tackling like the hedonism that exists in a culture, where he says, yo, the numbers is nothing, the money is nothing, and he rejects the premise that his numbers and his money is what makes him a man. No, he talks about how he's always been him, right? He's always been him because he's always stood to the same principles he been had when he was just this young raggedy kid in the city of Compton. And he will point out how people are peddling these conspiracy theories that he's bought in because they're trying to reduce him to just the numbers. And he would also end it off by saying, hey, bruh, yo, when you're dealing with hate, yo, when you're dealing with the fake love, yo, don't stress it. Don't let it overwhelm you. You should, appreciate it, right? You should grow to like it because that's how you know you're great. Think about how masterful what Kendrick Lamar just did. While Playboy Carti is rapping about drugs and rapping about Molly, Kendrick Lamar is rapping about consciousness. It's literally evolution through collision. Like think about it like the Hegelian dialect, right? Where Kendrick Lamar, the conscious rapper, the conscious rap is the thesis. The antithesis is the gangster rap. And they birth a synthesis that neither could achieve alone. And I believe that that is the master of what Kendrick Lamar is doing. And anybody reducing this to plain hypocrisy, well, you're just stupid. Like Top Five Troy is my guy. I would never call him dumb. So, I would spare my boy Top Five Troy. But the rest of y'all, man, y'all are just stupid.
On Watch the Party Die, Kendrick says, yo, if you parading gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Just tell us what casket to choose. You listen to Watch the Party Die, let me know if I'm hearing this song wrong. Kendrick is talking about things in hip-hop culture or just black culture at large, but mostly it seems directed at hip-hop culture that he thinks are bad and infectious to the general population, the general listeners. And he talks about eradicating these things, and he speaks about how these things need to be eradicated. And at the end of the song, he says, I wonder what Lecrae and D1, who are Christian rappers, would do. Like, what's the best way to handle this? Is me saying we need to eradicate them the best way to do this, or should we just pray for them? But either way, it's like these things need to go. Now, whether just straight up killing these people is the right way, or rather praying for them and getting them in the church is the right reason, the end message is these things need to go. So you go from that, and then we got, again, Playboy Carti. And this is a stimulus package. Like this is going to give Playboy Carti so many new listeners. Like you know what a feature from a big name artist is going to do. So, and this is who we give it to. And I had a critique, if you watch my Brutally Honest GNX review, I've had a critique about GNX, which also stems from Watch the Party Die. Watch the Party Die, Kendrick goes, let me see if I can find these lyrics. All right, so boom, here's the lyric. We even kill the killers because they taking innocent lives, burn the whole village, we start over, it's really that time. Why reason with these dudes? Why reason with the killers if they can't see the future first? Why argue with them? The circus is already well at work. They already working for the circus. We can't reason, let's not even try to waste our time. Walk him down. Do everyone a solid. Some things just gotta result in violence. This is the message I was feeling. I'm like, about time someone said something about these poisonous parts of the hip hop culture.
Yeah, bro, but even that stance is a lot more complex than like what we're reducing this to, bro. Like, like this hypocrisy narrative only makes sense if you believe that art and morality are static. Like Kendrick Lamar is an artist, bro, right? He's not a preacher. Like he's not a pastor that's bound by dogma, bro. Right? Like we have to acknowledge, bro, he's a rapper navigating a very messy world and is more complex than what we give credit for. I think this is the opposite, right? Like this is the opposite of what I've critiqued Kendrick Lamar for in the past. I've critiqued Kendrick Lamar for acting holier than thou and self-righteous. I believe that this right here is him acknowledging, bro, right? That morality isn't static. That that these issues are much more complex than than we want to make it, and nobody have the real answer. But y'all let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this? All right, do y'all think that Kendrick Lamar is a hypocrite, or do y'all feel like these dudes got it wrong? Let me know in the comment section. All right, and also too, if you're still watching, click on this video here somewhere on my screen to find out how Adam22 got really upset mid-interview after realizing that these YNs done scammed him while they were disrespecting his wife. I'm going to see you guys in this video right here on my screen, all right? I'm out of here, folks. Peace.